Okay, today the second part of the series. A day off. Today I'll go a little bit over what I currently do for shadowing. I'll probably title the video shadowing, something with shadowing, but we also have the pitch focused reading part, but I don't want to make it too complicated what the content is, so basically it goes around all around speaking, or at least speaking practice, not speaking in the sense of that I form my own sentences, but just pronunciation practice with a combination of pitch focused reading and shadowing. What's important is I've only been doing this for now around 2 months, so I'm myself in the beginning when it comes to shadowing, and I've just put together something that I think works, and what I've read and what I've seen for shadowing, what can work. So if anybody has experience with shadowing, has used it a lot, then maybe you can give me some criticism, and if I change the routine, I'll upload a new video and show what I changed about it, and I'll just update this one or so. Okay, I'll first, before we start, I'll give you a rough overview, and then we'll get into the real part. You can skip anything you're not interested in, but I'll just do it as I would normally. So this video is going to take probably at least half an hour, so I will go through it completely as I do it normally. Okay, so with that out of the way, I think we can go to the overview. Okay, so we'll do a little overview, and to make it a little bit easier to understand, I'll show you everything in a little timeline. The timeline goes roughly, it will probably take around half an hour for all of it. And it's divided into 3 parts, or maybe you could even say 4 parts. The first part is a warm-up, 5 minutes. I made an Anki deck for this, and you will see in a second when we go over it what it really contains. This will probably roughly take about 5 minutes, and afterwards we can start with the pitch focus reading. But for now, warm up just to get the mouth moving, because I notice, especially when I do it in the morning, after I get up, my mouth is dry and I'm a little bit stiff. So getting the mouth and the tongue moving really helps with the pronunciation afterwards, because if I want to pronounce something, I want to do it right. But like I said, you will see in a second what this deck contains, and we'll just go over it, and you can laugh a little bit at my horrible pronunciation. Okay, the next part, like I said, pitch focused reading, around 10 minutes. The length of this part, sure, it depends on how fast you are with the reading part, how often you have to repeat lines because you want to get the pitch right, and it also depends on how long the recording it is. But I will talk about this in a second. Okay, and the next part and last part is shadowing twice 8 minutes, around 8 minutes. So here the difference, or why this is 2 times 8 minutes, is basically that's what I'm currently going for. I'm taking an audiobook, and I also have the text for it, so the book and the audiobook. And I take a segment out of the book, record the audio version of it for around 6, 7, 8 minutes, depending on how long I want it to be. And then I take the exact segment that was read in the audiobook and use it for the reading part. So basically, first I read the part of the text, and then afterwards I shadow it. That's a combination, so that you can that I get both at once, and it helps a little bit. I can pick out if there's any words I don't know in there, and yeah, it helps a little bit with the shadowing part afterwards. And here what's important is, or what I'm currently doing, like I said, I'm still experimenting a little bit. I repeat everything for 3 to 4 days. So I pick one line, record it to my pitch focus reading, my shadowing, and then I'll do it for another 2 to 3 days. So in total 4 days for the same segment, and then I continue. Maybe I will reduce this a little bit later on when I notice that it gets easier and easier, but in the beginning I felt that it was really helpful to repeat the same part a few times. just to get a feeling for this, and sometimes at the beginning you're just a little bit stumped when they are talking too fast or so, and you can't really follow, especially because your mouth movements can't follow. So I think for now 3 to 4 days is fine, and then to the next part. Okay, and like I said, I use the same text in the reading part as I do for the shadowing part. And what I do for the first 1 or 2 days, most of the time now 1 day, in the beginning I did it for 2 days, is that in the first of the shadowing parts, so we have 2 times 8 minutes in this case, so for the first 8 minutes I once use the text as a help, just to make it a little bit easier to get into it. But you have to concentrate on reading, so this maybe isn't the best use, but I think in the beginning it makes it a little bit easier to get into it. So basically for the first day, when I start a new segment of a text, the first 8 minutes of shadowing I use the text as an aid, and for the second 8 minutes I don't use any text. For the days afterwards, just 2 times the same audio without using the text as an aid. So that's basically it for the basic layout of how I'm doing it currently, and right now it works really well. The only thing, I'm currently using Kombini Ningen as a source for the text and the audio, and the only thing I don't really like there, the speaker is really monotone, so there's not a lot of action going on, and I think I want to switch soon to something that's a little bit more, where there's a little bit more action going on, where they're really trying to pronounce the characters if they are angry or something like that, where they're trying to put emotions into it, because those are the parts in the book that I like the most, if there's a little bit of emotion and she's really just basically speaking the line of a character, what the character is currently saying, and not any background information. But for now I'm with Kombini Ningen because it's a little bit easier. I want to start with something that's not too complicated, and later on you can still use more difficult material. Okay, I think with that out of the way, we can start with the warm-up. Oh! Okay, with that we can get to the warm-up. Like I said, it's just an Anki deck I created myself just to go a little bit over the different sounds and get the mouth moving, and also a little bit to work on words or parts where I think I have especially a problem, and just to prepare myself for the shadowing afterwards. It's this deck right here, 24 cards. I try to go through them relatively quickly. I'll just say a few words maybe for a few of the cards, so you can see if there's anything important in there, but otherwise we want to finish this in under 5 minutes if possible. And don't judge me, I still haven't done my reps for today. I'll do them later on, but yeah. Okay, I'll just go into the browser for this and then take the deck, and that's it. For the beginning, single words, those are basically the words with the N. I will see in a second in the different pronunciation forms, so I can practice them, but we'll go through them. I'll just pronounce them as I do normally. I've turned the sound off so you don't get annoyed, but I have sound on every card. So normally I have my finger on the repeat button if I want to hear a word again, because I'm not too sure if I did it correctly. So I'll just hear it a few times, say it a few times, and then let's go next card. Okay, so I'll go through it normally. Hong, Hong, Hong. And I added pictures. I'll add a link to the website where I got this from in the description. So every word has a picture with the tongue position, so just that I can check it again if I want to, but now I already got them down relatively. Kung, kung, kung. Kampai, kampai. Kombu, kombu, kombu. Gunma, gunma, gunma. Kontakto, kontakto, kontakto. Kando, kando, kando. Kandeki, kandeki, kandeki. Kandingu, cunning, cunning, 筋肉、筋肉、筋肉、こんにゃく、こんにゃく、こんにゃく、感覚、感覚、感覚、ガンガン、ガンガン、ガンガン、信号、信号、今夜、今夜、談話、談話、談話、恋愛、恋愛、恋愛。This is one of the words I have a little bit of problem with. At least it feels that I'm a little bit off when it comes to the pronunciation, but I'm not too sure. King, king, gengyaki, gengyaki, kangoke, 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 sanse, sanse, sanse. Okay, this was basically the first part, and the second part is right here is just basically all the sounds, and I'll just go over them once or twice. Normally I'll just do it once today. Normally I do it twice or 3 times maybe, first slowly and then try to get a little bit faster every time. But like I said, today I'll just do it once, otherwise it will take too long. A, E, I, U, E, O, A, O, ka, ke, ki, ku, ke, ko, ka, ko, sa, se, shi, su, se, so, sa, so, ta, te, chi, tsu, te, to, ta, to, na, ne, ni, nu, ne, no, na, no, ha, he, hi, hu, he, ho, ha, ho, ma, me, mi, mu, me, mo, ma, mo, ya, e, I, U, e, yo, ya, yo, da, de, di, do, de, do, da, do, wa, e, I, U, e, o, wa, o, ga, ge, gi, gu, ge, go, ga, go, za, ze, chi, tsu, tse, zo, za, zo, da, ze, chi, tsu, de, do, da, do, ba, be, bi, bu, be, bo, ba, bo, pa, pe, pi, bu, be, bo, pa, po. Okay, that's basically it for once. The 2 lines where I'm, or the few sounds where I'm not too sure most of the time is the, I don't know if you can see my mouse button. Yes, I guess you can. This line right here, especially those 2, and here those 2, because I know, for example, here the tsu in tsuzuku, the second part is tsu, z, but I pronounce it whenever I do it in here, I pronounce it a little bit different, so I'm not too sure, but it's just to get a little bit of warm up. So like I said, normally I do it again, maybe another 2 times, try to get a little bit faster, but I always try to pronounce it as correctly as possible, as clearly as possible. So, and this one, I basically, this card changes all the time. What I do is I add sounds that I have problems with, especially during shadowing, when I notice, for example, those lines, the bottom 2 lines, or all of those lines down here are from the audiobook. So whenever I notice that there's a word I have problems with in pronunciation, then I enter it in here and try to pronounce it a few times, and it gets easier and easier with time. So this is basically just to practice things I know that I have a problem with, especially the last line. Maybe you will have a good laugh, because I just can't get this right and I don't know why. Whatever I do, especially the change here from do to da is, I don't know why it's da, do, is really complicated for me. Okay, those lines here on top, those are just combinations. I change them also sometimes, not that often, but sometimes combinations of sounds that are a little bit complicated. Like I said, like here, the switch from do to da, and this is in a similar vein, so I'll just go over them. And normally I do them each line about 10 times, or maybe less, and try just to do it as a little bit faster. Okay, I'll just go over it. Tachitsu to, 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 tachitsu to. Okay, that's enough. Da tara chira tsura tera tora 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 tara chira tsura tera to. Sara shida sura sera sora 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 sara shida sura sera so. Okay, and the last few things, like I said, lines from the book, so I'll eventually say a few words more than are written right here because I know the line. パンの袋が握られる。パンの袋が握られる。パンの袋が握られる。パンの袋が握られる。パンの袋が握られる。奇妙がられる。奇妙がられる。奇妙がられる。奇妙がられる。ペットボトル、ペットボトル、ペットボトル、ペットボトル、ペットボトル。This one is interesting. It's such a simple word, but I don't know why I have, especially if it appears in shadowing, I have so many problems. I always get this wrong, and I tend to slip up when pet bottle comes. So it's a really simple word, but I don't know why I have so many problems with it. あるかのように感じられる。あるかのように感じられる。あるかのように感じられる。あるかのように感じられる。寒く感じられるだろう。寒く感じられるだろう。寒く感じられるだろう。寒く感じられるだろう。寒く感じられるだろう。Okay. Yeah, those are hard. Whatever. Okay, and the last one for now. Maybe some of you know that. It's Amembo no Uta. It's a song, and it basically it's a what do you call it? I'm stupid. It's really old, and it contains all the sounds of the language in one text. And I added furigana because some of the kanji are a little bit, seldomly used, so it makes it a little bit easier. And this one, I don't know why, but I really like this. That's my favorite part of the warm-up. So I'll just go over it as I would do normally. Here as well, I do it 2 to 3 times and try to pick up the pace a little bit with each time. So this one I have to concentrate. I want to do it well. Amembo akai na aiue o ukimo ni koibi mo oyoideru. Kakinoki kurinoki kakikuke ko Kitsutsuki kotsu karekeyaki, sasage ni su o kake sashisuse so, sono u o asase de sashimashita, tashimasho rappa de tachitsute to, tote tote tatta to tobitatta, namekuji noro noro nani no ne no, nando ni no mette nani nebaru, hato poppo horo horo haifuhe ho, hinata no heya ni wa fue o fuku, mai mai nichimaki mami mume mo, ume no mi ochite mo mimushi mai, yakiguri yureguri aiue yo, 山田に火のつく宵の家、大腸は寒かろらりるれろ、レンゲが咲いたら瑠璃の鳥、ワイワイわっしょいわいうえよ、植木や井戸替えお祭りだ。Okay, that's it. That's basically the warm-up. Like I said, I would normally repeat it another 2 times or so, but for now, this should be enough. Yeah, so we can go to the pitch-focused reading. Okay, then we can get to the pitch-focused reading. First I need my timer, make it a little bit bigger, but normally right now it should take 8 minutes, 9 minutes probably. As before, I just have it in here, doesn't matter, it's just a text. I copied it in here and added furigana, and I just read it in the browser. Like this, or rather like this, because I don't want to think about readings, although the readings here are relatively easy. Some things I may pronounce different than the reading in here because there are some errors. For example, yaju, it's not yaju, it's yonaka. Yonaka was it. And I think there are a few more, can't remember. But yeah, for example, here the name Hirotsueki Maiten. This one is wrong, so but I don't want to change it because I know it by heart, so why waste time? Okay, I'll just read over it normally. Like I said, if you want, you can listen to it, but otherwise you can just skip it if you already now know what I do. yeah, so we'll go through it. I'll just start a timer and we'll see. I'll try to pronounce everything as good as I can. And let's go. 毎日働いているせいか、夢の中でもコンビニのレジを打っていることがよくある。ああ、ポテトチップスの新商品の値札がついていないとか、ホットのお茶がたくさん売れたので補充しなくては、などと思いながら、はっと目が覚める。いらっしゃいませ、という自分の声で夜中に起きたこともある。眠れない夜は、今もうごめいているあの透き通ったグラスの墓のことを思う。清潔な水槽の中で、機械仕掛けのように今もお店は動いている。その光景を思い浮かべていると、店内の音が鼓膜の内側によみがえってきて、安心して眠りにつくことができる。朝になれば、また私は店員になり、世界の歯車になれる。歯車になれる。そのことだけが私を正常な人間にしているのだった。朝の8時、私はスマイルマートヒルズ駅前店のドアを開ける。仕事は9時からだが、早く来てバックルームで朝食を食べることにしている。店に着くと2リットルのペットボトルのミネラルウォーターを1本と、廃棄になってしまいそうなパンやサンドイッチを選んで買い、バックルームで食事をする。バックルームには大きな画面があり、そこには防犯カメラの映像が映し出されている。夜勤に入ったばかりの新人のベトナム人のダットコンが必死にレジを打っている様子や、慣れない彼をフォローしながら店長が走り回っている様子を眺めながら、何かあったら制服を着てバックルームの外へ走っていき、レジを手伝おうと構えつつパンを飲み込む。朝こうしてコンビニにパンを食べて、昼ご飯は休憩中にコンビニのおにぎりとファーストフードを食べ、夜も疲れている時はそのまま店のものを買って帰ることが多い。2リットルのペットボトルの水は働いている間に半分ほど飲み終え、そのままエコバッグに入れて持ち帰り、夜までそれを飲んで過ごす。私の体のほとんどがこのコンビニの食料でできているのだと思うと、自分が雑貨の棚やコーヒーマシーンと同じこの店の一部であるかのように感じられる。食事を終えると天気予報を確認したり、店のデータを見たりする。天気予報はコンビニにとってとても大切な情報源だ。昨日の気温との差も重要だ。今日は最高気温21度、最低気温14度、曇りのち、夕方からは雨の予定だ。気温よりも寒く感じられるだろう。暑い日はサンドイッチが売れ、寒い日はおにぎりや中華まん、パンがよく売れる。カウンターフードも気温によって売れるものが違う。ヒルズ駅前店では寒い日はクロケットがよく売れる。ちょうどセールでもあるので、今日はクロケットをたくさん作ろうと頭に叩き込む。そんなことをしている間に時間は過ぎ、店にも少しずつ私で同じ9時からアルバイトをする昼勤の人たちが集まってくる。8時半の過ぎた頃、おはようございますというハスキーな声がして、ドアが開いた。バイトリーダーとして信頼が置かれている泉さんだ。私よりも一つ年上の37歳の主婦で、少し性格はきついが、キビキビとよく働く女性だ。少し派手な服装で現れ、ロッカーの前でヒールの靴をスニーカーに履き替えている。古倉さん、今日も早いね。あ、新商品のパンだ。それ、どう？私が手にしているマンゴーチョコレートのパンを目にした泉さんが言う。少しクリームに癖があって匂いが強くて食べにくいです。あんまり美味しくないですね。ほんと店長100個発注しちゃってるよ。やばいな。 とりあえず今日来た分だけでも売れないとね。はい。アルバイトは圧倒的に学生かフリーターが多いので、自分と同世代の女性と働くことは珍しい。泉さんは茶髪をまとめ、紺色のカットソーの上から白いシャツを着て、水色のネクタイを締めた。広茶駅前店がオープンした時には、こんなルールはなかったが、今のオーナーになってからは、必ず制服の下はシャツとネクタイと決まっている。泉さんが鏡の前で服装を整えていると、おはようございます、と菅原さんが飛び込んできた。菅原さんは24歳のアルバイトで声が大きい明るい女の子だ。バンドのボーカルをやっているらしく、ベリーショートの髪を本当は赤くしたいのだとぼやいていた。少しぽっちゃりとしていて愛嬌があるが、泉さんが来る前は遅刻も多かったし、ピアスをつけたまま働いて店長によく叱られていた。泉さんがサバサバとした調子で上手に叱って教育をしたおかげで、今では菅原さんもすっかり真面目で仕事に熱い店員だ。ひろきんは他にひょろりと背が高い大学生の岩城くんと、就職先が決まってもうすぐ辞めてしまうフリーターの雪の下くんがいる。岩城くんも就活で来れない日が増えているので、店長が夜勤から戻ってくるか、新しい人を昼勤で取るかしないと店が回らなくなってしまう。今の私を形成しているのはほとんど私のそばにいる人たちだ。3割は泉さん、3割は菅原さん、2割は店長。残りは半年前で辞めた佐々木さんや1年前までリーダーだった岡崎君のような過去の他の人たちから吸収したもので構成されている。特に喋り方に関しては身近な人のものが伝染していて、今は泉さんと菅原さんをミックスさせたものが私の喋り方になっている。Okay, that's basically it. That's what I do normally, as you've seen with RIP, somewhere around here, where I've repeated one line a few times. Oh, Kagami no mae de, just to get a little bit closer, because the drop after, I don't know why for the drop after Kagami I have a few problems. Whatever. So I sometimes, if there's such a point where I think I have problems, I repeat it a few times and try to get the pitch right. I'll try to do it slowly first and then get a little bit faster. So kagami no. So like this, and then speed it up later on. And yeah. So that's basically it for the pitch focus reading. So now we get to the funny part. I won't do 2 times the shadowing today, because once is enough. So we would go over it 1 time, and like I said, you can laugh a little bit at how I'm struggling to pronounce it all. And I'll probably try to give you the text on screen so you can follow and you can see where I miss some things or so. So yeah, so we can go to shadowing. Okay, then we can get to shadowing. I will show you probably the text, what I'm reading on the screen, so you can follow a little bit and laugh when I miss lines or so, on my pronunciation in general. Only 2 months, I'm improving, at least I hope so. So we'll go over it normally. So I'm listening to the audiobook right here, and with my headphones I can hear myself, plus I record what I'm saying, so I can do both at once. Yeah, I think we can get to it so we can get it over with as fast as possible, so we're done with this video. Okay, so same part as I read before. You'll see the text and then we'll just go over it. 毎日働いているせいか、夢の中でコンビニのレジを追っていることがよくある。 ああ、ポテトチップスの新商品の値札がついていないとか、ホットのお茶がたくさん売れたので補充しなくては、などと思いながら、はっと目が覚める。いらっしゃいませ、という自分の声で夜中に起きたこともある。眠れない夜は、今もうごめいているあの透き通ったガラスの箱のことを思う。清潔な水槽の中で、機械仕掛けのように、今も店は動いている。その光景を思い浮かべていると、店内の音が安心して眠りにつくことができる。朝になれば、また私は店員になり、世界の歯車になる。そのことだけが、私を正常な人間にしているのだった。朝の8時、私はスマイルマートヒールチョ駅前店のドアを開ける。仕事は9時からだが、早く来て、バックルームで朝食を食べることにした。店に着くと、2リットルのペットボトルのミネラルウォーターを1本と、廃棄になってしまいそうなパンやサンドイッチを選んで買い、バックルームで食事をする。バックルームには大きな画面があり、そこには防犯カメラの映像が映し出されている。夜勤に入ったばかりの新人のベトナム人のダット君が必死に列を打っている様子や、慣れない彼をフォローしながら店長が走り回っている様子を眺めながら、何かあったら制服を着て、バックルームのせて走っていき、レジを手伝おうと構えつつ、パンを飲み込む。朝、こうしてコンビニのパンを食べて、昼ご飯は休憩中にコンビニおにぎりやファーストフードを食べ、夜も疲れている時はそのままお店のものを買って帰ることが多い。2リットルのペットボトルの水は働いている間は半分ほど飲め終え、そのままエコパックに入れて持ち帰り、夜までそれを飲んで過ごす。私の体のほとんどはこのコンビニの食料でできているのだと思うと、自分が雑貨の棚やコーヒーマシンと同じこの店の一部であるかのように感じられる。食事を終えると天気予報を確認したり、店のデータを見たりする。天気予報はコンビニにとってとても大切な情報源だ。昨日の気温との差も重要だ。今日は最高気温21度、最低気温14度。曇りのち、夕方からは雨の予定だ。気温よりも寒く感じられるだろう。暑い日はサンドイッチが売れ、寒い日はおにぎりや中華まん、パンがよく売れる。カウンターフーズも気温によって売れるものが違う。ヒールチョ駅前店では、寒い日はコロッケがよく売れる。ちょうどセールでもあるので、今日はコロッケはたくさん作ろうと頭に炊き込む。そんなことをしている間に時間は過ぎ、店には少しずつ私と同じ9時からアバイトをする昼気の人たちが集まってくる。8時半の過ぎた頃、おはようございますというハスキーな声がして、ドアが開いた。バイトリーダーとして信頼が置かれている泉さんだった。私より年上の37歳の主婦で、少し性格がきついが、キビキビとよく働く女性だ。少し派手な服装で現れ、ロッカーの前でヒールの靴をスニーカーに履き替えている。古倉さん、今日も早いね。ああ、新商品のパンだ。それ、どう？私は手にしているマンゴーチョコレートのパンを目にした泉さんが言う。少しクリームに癖があって、匂いが強くて食べにくいです。あんまり美味しくないですね。本当？店長100個発注しちゃってるよ。やばいな。とりあえず今日来た分だけでも売らないとね。はい。アルバイトは圧倒的に学生かフリーターが多いので、自分と同世代の女性と働くことは珍しい。泉さんは茶髪をまとめ、紺色のカットソーの上から白いシャツを着て、水色のネクタイを締めた。ヒールチ駅前店がオープンした時、こんなルールはなかったが、今のオーナーになってからは、必ず制服の下はシャツとネクタイと決まっている。 泉さんが鏡の前で服装を整えていると、おはようございます、と菅原さんが飛び込んできた。菅原さんは24歳のアルバイトで、声が大きい明るい女の子だ。バンドのボーカルをやっているらしく、ベリーショートの髪を本当は赤くしたいのだぼやいていた。少しぽっちゃりとしていて愛嬌はあるが、泉さんが来る前遅刻も多かったし、ピアスをつけたまま働いて店長によく叱られていた。泉さんはサバサバとナチョを叱って教育したおかげで、今では菅原さんもすっかり真面目で仕事にはついていいんだ。きょろりと背が高い大学生の岩木君と、就職先が決まってもうすぐ辞めてしまうフリーターの雪下君がいる。岩木君も就活で来られない日が増えるので、店長が夜勤から戻るか、新しい人を昼勤に取るかしないと、店が回らなくなってしまう。今の私を形成しているのは、ほとんど私のそばにいる人たちだ。3割は泉さん、3割は菅原さん、2割は店長。残りは半年前に辞めた佐々木さんや1年前までリーダーだった朝木君のような、過去の他の人たちが吸収された。特に喋り方に関しては、身近な人のものが伝染していて、今は磯さんと菅原さんをミックスさせたものが私の喋り方になっていた。Holy moly. Yes, it's not easy. And I'm glad I'm done. Okay. Yeah, it's really, I have to really concentrate while doing this. But it's definitely, oh my god, a lot better than in the beginning. I still remember in the beginning I maybe got, I don't know, a few words here and there, and then a lot of missing in between. But right now I think I had two times where I lost a few words at once and then some small stuff in between. But concentrating on both, on your own voice, what you're hearing, how you sound, and at the same time what you're hearing, and the pronunciation is really hard. It requires a lot of concentration. That's why I'm fine when I do it 2 times. So all in all, around 14-15 minutes, that's enough. Yeah, so basically that's what I do currently for shadowing. Like I said, it may change since I have only been doing it for around 2 months, but for now I'm fine with this. So if anybody has any ideas what I can change, what maybe a better way to go about shadowing, then you can leave a comment. Would be really interesting to hear about. And yeah, maybe I'll do or I want to do the same thing for a day in immersion, but this probably will take a little bit longer to finish this video. But for now we have those 2, and I'll try to update them as soon as something changes or something bigger changes. So we'll see. Okay, that's it for today.